Now, the Hawaii Small Business Development Center is one of HI CAP technical assistant partners that provides legal, accounting, and financial advisory services to companies who intend to participate in the HI CAP or any other federal program that supports small businesses. So joining us today is Joe Burns, the State Director from the Hawaii Small Business Development Center. Joe, I'm so happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you.
We're breaking things down for people to really understand what you're doing. So I have to ask you, with SBDC, how are you helping businesses truly navigate their funding and opportunities?
Well, yes, there's several considerations, Lauren, when you talk about getting a loan or lending, whether that's HI CAP or whether it's another program. And the first one really is why. Why are you borrowing money? Because you need to borrow it for the right reason. So one example would be, we've had clients that have had, let's say, cash flow problems, and they want to borrow money, but they don't go to a deeper level and say, why are they having problems with their cash flow? Because if you can address those problems successfully, in a lot of cases we can, maybe they don't need to borrow money, or maybe they don't need to borrow so much money. So that's really the first consideration. And then once we get beyond that point, when they do have a need to borrow money, the next part is really identifying which program meets their needs. So HI CAP is great because it has very specific programs for certain companies. But if not, there are many other programs as well. Of course, the federal government has SBA, USDA, the state with DBED has their community-based economic development loan. There's agricultural loans from the Ag Department. So there's really many that could fit, but our role is to try to help the client understand what is appropriate for their particular situation. And then the third part of that is, once we decide on a path forward, what is the application process going to be like with the bank? What are they going to ask for? How do they put that whole package together so that the bank has the information that they need to do their underwriting? And for some people, they can do that. That's fine. It's no problem. But other people, it's a little bit daunting because there's a lot of paperwork. A business plan may be involved. There could be a business model, picture, financial projections, and we do all of those things for our clients at no cost.
Wow. And that is phenomenal, because I'm sure when people are at the starting block, they're just like, what's my first step?
Exactly.
And it sounds like you're really crucial in helping people figure out the direction of that first step. Now, how does the program Senior Business Advisor really help business owners?
Great question. So we usually start with the strategy that a business has. And a lot of times they don't have a strategy, or the strategy is in their head. It's not a written down actual strategy. So we go back to that step. And that really came out during COVID because so many people had to pivot. We would go back and say, what was your old strategy, and now what can you do for a new strategy, because it's a totally different reality. Right? So we always take that step in the beginning, is to look at strategy first. And once you have that, then you've got a path to becoming more profitable or accomplishing what you want to accomplish, expansion, take advantage of an opportunity, hire more people, exporting, whatever it is. But it has to start from a strategy. And so that's what our advisors will do, sit with the client one-on-one just like this and ask those questions that maybe is locked up in the client's head and they've never really gotten it out on paper or verbalized it, and you'll be able to have that path forward to be successful. And so that's really the first thing that we do. And that really dictates everything else.
Okay.
It might involve sales and marketing. It might involve human resource management. It might involve process improvement. It might involve, any of these kinds of things. Especially financial management is an area that we find that people need help with because they just haven't been trained in it. So we do a lot of work in that area as well, which is why it fits in so well with what the HI CAP program is doing.
That's phenomenal. So once you have the strategy all figured out, what other things and services are you offering?
Well, I just mentioned a few of them in terms of some of the areas that we get into. But it really depends on what stage the business is at.
Okay.
Right? So if a business is just starting out, they might be more concerned with things such as their value proposition or creating a business model that they can look at that brings together all the elements of their business to really see it. Maybe it's a business plan. So those kinds of things would apply to people just starting. But for people that are more established, it tends to be a little bit more narrow focus in terms of an opportunity or a challenge. You know, just talked about COVID or the Maui fires. We were involved with, and still are, with assisting those businesses. And so it really depends on what stage the business is at, and that will dictate what sort of services that we offer. You know, a business that the owner wants to sell the business, that's an exit stage, and that's very different than obviously everything else.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
That is so phenomenal. Well, Joe, thank you so much for walking us through, you know, all the different stages that a business might be in, all the different ways that they could benefit. Of course, training, learning programs, figuring out their strategy. And of course, you guys can go to our website for all this information. Joe is also a wealth of knowledge, but we'll have so much more up on the show. You're watching High Now Daily, and we'll be right back.